Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Crowd Chatter Podcast. Today is going to be a review of the NFL trade deadline. It was actually pretty active this year. We had a lot of different trades being made, a lot of teams making some deals. So let's get right into it. First one we have on here. Some of these were were much earlier in the year, so they've been long since passed. But in this one, the Raiders got Justin Herron, along with a seventh round pick in 2024. And gave New England Patriots a sixth rounder of the same year in return. Gain an offensive lineman, obviously, for the Raiders hasn't really done all that much yet. Next, we have Atlanta getting a sixth round pick from the Cleveland Browns for Deion Jones and a seventh, also in the same year. So this is again, you look at this deal. And honestly, it looks pretty solid. Deion Jones obviously has been a good linebacker. Hasn't really done much though for the Browns up to this point. Next, we have a deal that was talked a little bit about during its time when it happened, which is Robbie Anderson being traded from the Carolina Panthers to the Arizona Cardinals for a sixth and seventh rounder, the sixth in 2024 and the seventh in 2025. Obviously, the Panthers wanted to get rid of Robbie Anderson after he had issues with the wide receivers coach, and then got kicked out of the game against the Rams. It was not a good look. So obviously, they just wanted him out. And well, he did get out, and he went to Arizona, who lost Marquise Brown, Hollywood Brown, out for majority of the year. So just trying to rent somebody for a little bit while they're missing their number two wide receiver. So they go ahead and give a low cost on Robbie Anderson. Not really overly excited with this deal. Kind of see it as a big nothing. This, however, is not a big nothing. Um, the San Fran 49ers made a very aggressive trade, as they had also traded with the Carolina Panthers, but this wasn't a Robbie Anderson type. This was a very high level player, which is Christian McCaffrey. The Niners would trade for Christian McCaffrey from the Carolina Panthers and would give in return second, third, fourth, and fifth round picks to go and get the big running back. Now, I have a couple different things to say about this move here. Um, but for San Fran, I don't really understand it necessarily. I mean, finding someone like Christian McCaffrey obviously is very nice. Getting someone that like Christian McCaffrey is very nice. However, that wasn't really a position of need for San Francisco. And Christian McCaffrey also has a habit of getting hurt literally all the time, which has been a huge issue for the San Fran backfield for a while now. Guys like Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson, Elijah Mitchell, all these guys have funneled through. Guys of which are undrafted free agents, kind of come out of nowhere. Trey Sermon, even he's had injury issues. I think he was a third round pick though. But in any case, all these guys on the Niners roster all have had injury problems, and none of them have really turned out probably how the Panther or not how the Panthers, how the Niners had hoped. I mean, they played well when they were healthy. But when being healthy was a big issue for them. So now you go and get a guy like Christian McCaffrey, who, yeah, is fantastic, but the guy also has, as I said earlier, a bad habit of getting hurt literally all the time. So it just not. I don't necessarily understand it that much from the Panthers' perspective. I mean, you're getting second, third, fourth, and fifth. I mean, you didn't get a first, but I mean, you could have gotten a first rounder, I think, for McCaffrey, and I think McCaffrey honestly deserves a first rounder. But you get a second, a third, a fourth, and a fifth. I mean, I guess that pretty much adds up to a first round pick. So honestly, not terrible by the Panthers. For the Niners, this doesn't make a lot of sense because it's not a position of need. But you get a otherworldly talent, so definitely an aggressive move by San Francisco. Another trade here, we have the New York Jets trading for James Robinson. This was when Brees Hall tore his ACL, very much hurting the Jets' outlook. James Robinson heading to the New York Jets, and Jacksonville gained a conditional sixth round pick in return. For the Jets, I mean, I get this trade. I think it's not. I don't think it's a bad move. First of all, James Robinson is a very young running back. He was fantastic for the Jaguars as an undrafted free agent, undrafted rookie his first year, and looked really good. Of course, had a big Achilles injury, which derailed his previous year, and going into this year. And going into this season, he was kind of overshadowed by Travis Etienne, and it obviously showed that that they were going to go more towards Travis Etienne than they were James Robinson. So it made sense for Jacksonville to trade him, and you get a conditional sixth. I think it converts into a fifth if he runs for like 600 yards this year, something like that. So overall, I think this is very smart by the Jaguars. For the Jets, they're trying to get themselves someone that maybe matches up to Brees Hall, who had been so awesome to start this year. So I think for the Jets, not a bad move. For the Jaguars, makes perfect sense. Overall, I think it's a win-win for both ends here. Then you had the Dallas Cowboys trading for Jonathan Hankins and a 2024 seventh round pick from the Vegas Raiders, giving them a 2023 sixth round pick. You give yourself some more defensive depth. Makes sense. And then here's some of the trades that start to get interesting. First, we have the Philly Eagles, who currently are playing right now. By the way, scoring that game. I haven't done the picks video yet. But the Eagles, I keep stuttering. The Eagles tied with the Texans 14 all right now. Of course, also the World Series is playing. Interestingly enough, both games are Philly versus Houston, which I don't know how many times the two cities playing in the World Series have also played the same week in football. But here we are. Anyways, Philly Eagles trading for Robert Quinn from the Chicago Bears, giving them a 2023 fourth round pick in return. Robert Quinn is a very good defensive end. He is a very good defensive player. I think the Bears could have gotten a third round pick for him, but they still got a fourth. I think they undersold a little bit, but it's still something. And it was obvious that Robert Quinn wasn't going to last with the Bears very long, so it made sense to trade him, get something for him, and you get a fourth round pick. Like I said, I think you could have gotten a third, but something's better than nothing. And then another interesting trade, we had the Kansas City Chiefs trading for New York Jets. Oh my gosh. New York Giants wide receiver Kadarius Toney, giving the New York Giants in return a 2023 third round pick and a 2023 sixth round pick. once again, an aggressive move by the Kansas City Chiefs. Kadarius Toney, he's shown flashes of what he can do, but he's also shown that he is a major league injury bug. He does not stay healthy. He has not stayed healthy. But he has shown that, yeah, he is good when he's healthy. So definitely something to see there. For the Giants, I mean, he hasn't done anything for you. He's kind of buried on the depth chart. You got a lot of guys ahead of him as well. So I think it makes sense. I think it's fitting for the Giants. Just make something out of nothing. For the Chiefs, aggressive move. Interesting from both ends here, but Kansas City ends up with Kadarius Toney. And then here's a trade that really I have a hard time understanding. The Baltimore Ravens traded for Roquan Smith from the Chicago Bears, giving them in return AJ Klein, a 2020 and then 2023 second and fifth round picks. Now you can say all you want that in the NFL linebackers aren't valued nearly as much as others. But that doesn't take away from the fact that Roquan Smith is number 2 overall in tackles in the league behind Bobby Wagner. And is also 25 years old. Also was a number 8 overall pick or number 7 overall pick. Don't remember which one it was. He was top 10 for sure. And you're going to give him away you're going to trade him away for a second and a fifth. And then, a veteran in AJ Klein. To me, that's not enough. To me, I get a first round pick for a guy who's playing like that. You draft a guy top 10. To me, this is a sunk cost. I mean, for the Ravens, this is a steal because of how good this guy is. But for the Bears, you spend a top 10 pick on him. He plays like a top 10 pick. He plays fantastic at his position. Second in tackles in the league since entering the league. He is second in tackles behind Bobby Wagner. So clearly he has not disappointed. He has been very darn good. But instead you don't get a first round pick in return. You don't get what you lost for him. You don't get what you spent on him. You get less. You get a second rounder and a fifth. And to me, that's a sunk cost. You got a guy in the top 10. You draft a guy in the top 10. He plays like a top 10 pick, and you don't use him. You use him, but you trade him away for less than what you spent on him. And to me, that's just not good business by the Bears and is really stupid, if you ask me. And then here's another interesting deal, and this one was by our very own Detroit Lions. And I'm not in on this one either. The Minnesota Vikings would trade for TJ Hawkinson and 2 fourth round picks, one of them being a conditional one, which turns into a fifth if the Vikings win a playoff game this year. And then the Lions would get a second rounder, a 2023 second round pick, and a 2024 third round pick. So more dealing, ironically enough, between the Vikings and the Lions, division rivals. But the big thing here is TJ Hawkinson. Lions drafted him top 10. I believe he was number 8 overall when they traded for him. And I don't know if he's necessarily lived up to the number 8 pick hype, but he hasn't been bad. He's been good. He's been a solid tight end. He's been. Now, I think likely Hawkinson is going to want, Travis Kelce type money when he becomes a free agent after this year, which he's not worth Travis Kelce type money, but he's a good tight end. And just simply trading a guy who's 24, 25 years old away uh, just to move up a couple rounds in two different drafts, to me, is once again just not worth it. Because we give away two fourth round picks, one of them conditional. Who knows? Vikings might not even win a playoff game this year. And you're getting a second rounder in 2023, so you're moving up two rounds there, and then a third rounder in 2024. So if the Vikings win a playoff game, you move up two. If they don't, you move up one. To me, that's not worth it. TJ Hawkinson's been a Pro Bowler. He is a good tight end. I mean, he's not the greatest blocker, but he's still a good tight end. And to move up and to trade him away to move up a couple rounds, to me, that's not worth it, because you would have just gotten the highest. Because if you just simply handed him away, you get yourself a compensatory pick for him, because you can get like the highest compensatory pick. You probably would have gotten the highest compensatory for him. You would have gotten a third round pick. So to me, it's like, well, why not just do that? Why don't you just you hold on to him and you let him go, and you get a third round pick out of it anyway? To me, that's better than upgrading a couple rounds. That's just my opinion. But to me, that just not the greatest trade. To me, and then this one's really bad. The Chicago Bears trading for Chase Claypool, who's a good receiver, mind you. But what they gave to the Steelers was a second round pick. Again, he's a good player, but I don't know about second round pick. He's a good player. Like I said, good player and good talent. But to say that he's worth a second round pick, I'd say that's a bit much. But again, my thinking. But Chase Claypool is first of all, he's a solid player. I don't think he's worth a second round pick. Second of all, why are the Bears trading for a wide receiver? Why are they giving away a second round pick, which is their own second round pick, mind you? It's not the one they got from the Ravens in the Roquan Smith deal. It's their own, which, since the Bears suck, is probably going to be a very high draft pick. So why is my question? Like, why would you send away a second round pick when you're trying to rebuild for a good receiver, but a guy who's really not worth a second round pick, and lose that second round pick? It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And for the Steelers, yeah, they win this trade by a mile. You get a second round pick for a maybe slightly above average wide receiver. Yeah, I'd take that any day. I'd 100% take that kind of deal. And then we have the Steelers making another trade, going with the Washington Commanders here. They would trade for William Jackson and would trade away a 2025 conditional 7th round pick, sending the Commanders a conditional 2025 6th round pick. Don't really know. William Jackson's a good corner. Don't really know what's been happening with him, the Commanders. I don't remember if it was contract or whatever it was. Anyway, for the Steelers, it's a low risk type of deal, but they're also not going anywhere, so why not? And there's rumors about him just simply being cut. So if Washington was just going to let him go, what's the point in making a trade? But, that's all I got there. And then we have a really big deal here. The Miami Dolphins made a big move and made a really big move going and getting Bradley Chubb from the Denver Broncos, along with a 5th round pick in 2025, and would give back to the Denver Broncos Chase Edmonds, a 1st round pick in 2023, and a 2024 4th rounder. The 2023 1st round pick is, of course, not Miami's, because they obviously lost that, as it got taken away from them because of their Because of the stuff they were doing, I can't come up with the word for it. Well, sanctions. That was part of the sanctions. They lost that first round pick, though, so that first round that they did have was from the San Francisco 49ers. And then they also gave away a 2024 fourth round pick. But for Miami, this is a team that's competing, and they're looking to make a play. They're looking to get to the playoffs. Tua back healthy. So I think for Miami, this is a smart deal. You're going big here. They've already extended Bradley Chubb as well, who Bradley Chubb obviously is a very good defensive player. And so I think I think if you're Miami, you convert on a very talented talented defender, and you make a push to make not only make the playoffs, but who knows? I mean, you already beat the Bills this year earlier in the year, but you've already beaten the Bills once. You get all you can to try and do it again. I think this is a good Miami team. The franchise obviously is in a little bit of turmoil with the different happenings with the Tua stuff, the stuff with the owner. So a lot of shall we say, crap going on in Miami, but this is a very good team with very good players. So, I think it's a smart move by Miami to go ahead and do what they to go ahead and get themselves, go ahead and get themselves a quality young player too. And then Jacksonville made an interesting trade. As they traded for Calvin Ridley, who currently is suspended after betting on games involving the Atlanta Falcons, which I think were actually against the Jaguars. So that was interesting. For a condition, this is actually I didn't know that second rounder, but a conditional fifth round pick in 2023 and a conditional second round pick in 2024. So there's a lot of stuff to unpack here with all the different conditions. So I don't remember what it all was. But Jacksonville obviously trying to make a big play for a good wide receiver, and they're hoping that maybe with him being suspended, they can get him at a lower cost maybe. But this is definitely a gamble by Jacksonville with the current state Calvin Ridley is in. And then for Atlanta, I mean, he was a good wide receiver. You already drafted Drake London, though, so I don't know. You could have kept him, I suppose, but I guess when you get a deal like this, you gotta put a lot of conditions in there. But not a bad deal. Not a bad deal for Atlanta. A little risky by the Jags, but interesting deal nonetheless. And then Miami, after they traded away Chase Edmonds, would go ahead and get themselves a replacement at running back and gain Jeff Wilson from the San Fran 49ers for a fifth round pick. I think this is very smart by the Miami Dolphins. You replace a guy who wasn't really doing all that much in Chase Edmonds with Jeff Wilson, who is very familiar with Mike McDaniel, head coach of the Miami Dolphins, former offensive coordinator for San Francisco. And for the Niners, this makes total sense. Jeff Wilson was not going to get much playing time with Elijah Mitchell coming back. And of course, you train for Christian McCaffrey. So there was no room left for him. And so you'd give him to Miami. I think this is a win-win by both teams. Very smart by the Miami Dolphins as Mike McDaniel attempts to recreate the San Francisco running back room in Miami. That could be very dangerous. And then you got Denver trading for Jacob Martin from the New York Jets, giving for Jacob Martin and a fifth round pick in 2024 from the New York Jets, sending them a fourth round pick in return. I'd say that'd probably be the replacement for Bradley Chubb. Denver's had a disappointing year this year, of course, with with Russell Wilson being probably the biggest disappointment in the NFL so far this year. So it's obviously not gone well for the Denver Broncos. But trying to get at least somebody in there that can maybe somewhat replace Bradley Chubb. And then you had the Bills making a trade. There's a lot of rumors about them getting themselves a running back, and well, they did. They went to the Colts to trade for Nyheim Hines. They had to trade back to the Indy Colts, Zach Moss, and a conditional fifth round pick in 2023. I think this is very smart by the Buffalo Bills. Nyheim Hines is well known for his receiving ability out of the backfield. He's a very good receiver. He's a very good receiving running back. And since Buffalo is a enormous passing attack and doesn't really care about running the ball, although Devin Singletary has held his own as a running back, I think having a guy like Nyheim Hines would be very helpful for this Buffalo Bills team who loves to throw the football and has Josh Allen. I think Nyheim Hines will fit very well with this Buffalo passing attack. And I think they'll really utilize Nyheim Hines very well. As for the Indy Colts, you get yourself you get yourself a solid backup still in Zach Moss, very young guy. Kind of fell out of favor though in Buffalo, and you get a conditional fifth round pick. I think for both teams, pretty good deal all around. And then we have the Atlanta Falcons trading for Rashad Fenton from the Kansas City Chiefs for a conditional seventh round pick in 2023. Solid deal. Obviously, Atlanta needs corners, so you get yourself a corner in this one from the Falcons. And then the Falcons would trade away a secondary player and Dean Marlowe to the Buffalo Bills. They'd get themselves a seventh round pick in return. You know, interesting deal there. But overall, Atlanta oddly finds itself in position of possibly winning the division. And trying to do at least something, trying to spice things up. Maybe we shall see. And interesting, and that's it. Actually, I'm pretty sure for the trade deadline. Yes, it is. So I think the best deal probably was the Ravens essentially giving away nothing to go and get themselves well, that or the T.J. Hawkinson deal. But getting Roquan Smith for essentially nothing, or the Vikings getting T.J. Hawkinson for essentially nothing. So that is it for this video, though. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We got a lot more videos to come, and this channel is going to get a lot busier with college football. Well, not college football. Well, yes, college football, but college basketball, I'm trying to say, coming up. Also, got NBA videos probably coming out soon. We'll probably have just like a review of the first month and a half coming probably at the end of November. At least that's why I can't. What I'm thinking is we'll probably do the NBA like I did the MLB throughout the year. We'll just review it month by month, as going over week by week would kind of take a while. College basketball, I do week by week. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Anyways, that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. So, until next time, adios, everyone.